Finals. Now, winning, you're going to need a full-strength Jayson Tatum.
How tricky is it bringing a star player back to a team that's like already in rhythm?
It could be tricky.
Welcome back to NBA Cinema, fam. Listen to this. Carmelo Anthony is going viral for telling Jayson Tatum to approach his return to the Boston Celtics with some maturity. And hold up, I've been thinking about this dynamic between Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown for a minute. Rarely do I hear anyone actually break this down, and I ain't talking about me, just the general chatter over the last 3 or 4 years. Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum came into the league back-to-back. They grew up together, won a championship, the organization built around them, and they pulled it off. But instead of just celebrating that win, the narrative always becomes, whose team is it? Oh, now it's Jaylen Brown's team. Wait, wasn't it Tatum's team before? For years, Jaylen was painted as the sidekick, the Robin, instead of just appreciating what these two accomplished. And girl, almost everything said about them feels divisive. But we gotta get into it because Melo's take is wild. First, let's rewind to a couple weeks before the All-Star break. Jaylen Brown posted their record heading into the break last year versus this year, showing they're sitting at the 2nd seed, and people spun that like it was a jab at Tatum. But nah, I think he was just saying, consider me for MVP. Back when Tatum was in his prime and still on the court, he was a top MVP candidate, and Brown, outside the top 5, still hovering at number 6 right now. And remember Tatum on that comeback documentary. He told the doctor straight up he wasn't rehabbing just to be a role player. They still need Tatum to be a star. But it ain't just about Jaylen Brown. Look at Peyton Pritchard stepping into a new role, Derek White adjusting too. The roster got a facelift. Some guys who barely played are seeing more minutes. Luke Cornett, some other pieces aren't around anymore. Drew Holiday, Al Horford, locker room energy shifted. Jaylen Brown's voice is echoing differently through the team this year. So let's finally check out what Melo had to say.
We could get them to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, winning, you're going to need a full-strength Jayson Tatum.
How tricky is it bringing a star player back to a team that's like already in rhythm?
It could be tricky if you don't establish it early. Because right now, Jaylen is holding the fort down. You don't want to that up. The excitement of bringing JT back is going to uplift everybody. But how you implement him is very important. I'm sure the front office and Joe Mazzulla is thinking like, holy like how the am I going to do this? How do I have a conversation with JT and say, hey, we're going to bring you off. Like, what do you think about coming off the bench while you get your rhythm and find your pace? And what do you think about that? That's a tough conversation, especially with somebody who already put out there and said, I'm coming back to be Jayson Tatum.
And the team's playing good. They're 2nd in the East, right?
Yeah, great.
They're playing great. Yeah. You know what I mean?
He's an MVP candidate. JB sacrificed everything. He was the sacrifice guy. Here, JT, go ahead, you lead. Boom, I'm going to lead in my way. I'm going to help you lead. But now I held the fort down for you. I held the fort down for the whole organization who probably didn't think we would be in this situation.
Right.
JT got to be very mature about this situation. Like, we got a chance to come back and win a championship. You know what I mean? Let me just put my pride and my ego to the side for these next 3 months and continue to let JB
be the man.
Steer the ship.
Yeah.
Because he's proven that he's doing it.
Yeah.
He's doing it at the MVP level on both sides of the court. You know, nobody thought Boston would be like this. People down at Boston, they have a complete team to go out there and win a championship.
Nothing would make me more sick as a Knicks fan.
I mean, trust me, it'll make me sick too. But I'm just his next couple weeks, it's going to say a lot about where Boston organization is headed and the message that they're trying to send to whoever.
So there is a lot at stake here. It's not just easy as plugging Jayson Tatum in and picking up where they left off at last year or the year before that when they won the championship. Like, There's a different hierarchy now. Like, Jaylen Brown is the number 1 right now.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot to go in on this. And Tatum understands. I talked to him before, you know, about this. Like, he understands that, you know, those are valid concerns that he has. And so my question is, like, what are his expectations? You know, of course. Okay, yes, he doesn't plan to be just a role player, but like, are your expectations are to be the number 1 guy again? Are your expectations that you're going to compliment Jaylen Brown? Like, what is his real expectations coming in? And that will tell us a lot about how I think everything could unfold.
So if you catch Melo's video that's been blowing up all over X, you'll see the backlash he's catching for his take. Girl, People are saying JT and JB have always sacrificed for each other, so why would this year be any different? And now hold up, I gotta disagree. Tons of folks are comparing it to when Michael Jordan retired and came back to Scotty's team, saying, oh, it was Scotty's team while MJ was gone. Nah, that's not the same. I can't agree with that comparison. Tatum was only out for a year due to injury, and Jaylen Brown? This is a guy who's won Finals MVP, Conference MVP. He's been operating on the same level as Tatum basically the whole time. And girl, Jaylen just happened to hit a bunch of the big shots on their way to the first championship. Remember that corner shot against the Indiana Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals? That's where he really started to step up while Tatum was struggling. Look at the numbers if you want, but also see how Jaylen locked down Luka in the NBA Finals, while Tatum had some tough games, some outbursts, some struggles. It was all about the moments, and Jaylen was synonymous with stepping up in those moments throughout the series. And now, this whole conversation has flipped since then. But listen, these guys have been playing together for years. People forget there were already whispers about trading one or the other before they even won a title, because every season seemed to hit a wall. And at one point, it really felt like they were playing my turn, your turn basketball. But look, they climbed that mountain and they got over it. These guys, I still think they can start together. And girl, that's a good problem to have. Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, that's a dream problem for any team. Trust me, teams would kill to have two players like this. But they gotta be smart. Tatum, don't rush trying to prove you're back to where you left off too fast. Jaylen, don't step back so much that you lose your rhythm in the process. I think we'll catch a few slip-ups early on, no doubt. But here's the thing, you can already see these guys would be instant favorites. If Tatum's fully healthy, they'd be favored over Detroit again in a series in the East.